other shallow water anchors.
All right, so let's rewind just a minute. You're telling me that you use sticks that you shove in the mud to hold your 2-ton boat in place.
That's correct. Yeah.
There's got to be.
I was spotlight, nice graphs, power poles. I had to sacrifice some money somewhere.
Yeah, that's fair. And who's to say the Talons or Power Poles would even do better just because that is such a massive boat. But you are a giant man driving those pylons into the mud to hold your boat in place.
It's quick and easy.
Tell me,
all right. 16-foot long.
It is 12-foot long, but it does a really good job. Like power poles and talons and stuff are nice, but they also take up space. They add weight to the rear of the vessel. They can get in the way sometimes when you're fighting a big fish in current.
Adding weight to your boat is like the last concern of any boat I've ever been on. Now, I will say, all right, so the power poles take up room in the back of the boat because of the hydraulic tanks. But the Talons, they're all electric. So you just hook them up to your starting battery and they do their things. That's pretty slick. But with that being said, you're right. Like they do add weight to the back. So that's definitely a consideration. And then the cost is the bigger consideration in your shoes. But those poles you're using, are they fiberglass? Are they metal? Like what are they made of?
They're fiberglass.
Okay. And how thick are they?
Probably 3/4 of an inch.
Oh, that's not that big at all. And that holds that. So do you drop the anchor out the front and then?
No, I spot lock the front with the trolling motor.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. And just pin the back down with the shallow water anchor when I'm fishing shallow.
I've never
works great.
Well, I've thought about it, but
you use the trolling motor and the rods at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, on like a shallow flat where there's no current, but you got like a crosswind or something. It works great.
Yeah, stick around. Sounds like we're all going to learn something today. Mike beat me to it, bullhead. So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
We are officially back after a 2-week hiatus. I think that would be an appropriate word for this hiatus, but I just hung out, spent time with a bunch of friends and family. It was kind of nice to relax, and I've been fishing my face off for about the last 6 days, and that's been pretty awesome. And then we're back on the podcast train. So we got Captain Christian Moore. He runs Real Country Guide Service. And then we got
guys. How is everybody?
We got the man, the myth, the legend, the flathead assassin, Ryan.
Oh yes. Happy New Year, everybody.
And Skip was here somewhere. I think he just went to bed. He's tired. He slept in a boat, and we both froze our ass off last night. Like I brought the wrong sleeping bag to the occasion. It was a high of 80, which is unseasonably warm, but then it dropped down to 41 for a low. And yeah,
Skip was cold.
Skip wasn't the only one that was cold.
Should have brought your buddy heater.
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing and preparation. And there was both bad clothing and bad preparation in that instance. But I survived and caught some nice fish along the way. But
that's how a man learns.
Big news. Well, first off, yes, we're back every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch on here live, or I'll post it tomorrow early in the morning on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, the River Certified Podcast. But big news on my end, I finally agreed to getting Life 360 on my phone, which is, if you're not familiar, it's the tracking app. So people...
It's going to kill your battery, bro.
It kills my battery. Ella brought up a good point about how it'd be good to know where I'm at, like in case something happens. But I always said no because of this irrational fear that maybe Ella would get kidnapped and someone would torture her to figure out my fishing spots, and now she'd have all that information.
Oh my God.
It's a joke, but only kind of, like, just very irrational. But
I tried the same thing with the 360. I couldn't handle the back. Like it drains it. Like seriously.
Yeah, I'm learning that. We'll see how long this experiment lasts. It's an experiment. What were you saying, Ryan?
I said it takes somebody a different frame of mind to get to most places that you go anyway. So they might know where they're at, but getting there is a different story.
Well, it's just all part of the fun. I did run, so I wanted to see places I'd never seen before. And over the course of the last 2 days, I ended up like 30 miles upriver from the boat ramp. You should just wait till you see some of the footage of me hopping some rapids. Like there's some like I thought they were pretty crazy anyway. Like 3-foot standing waves. My motor was cavitating really bad, like RPM spiking, trying to run up these things, and we made her. I only hit one rock. It was a good day. Not too bad.
Yeah.
No holes in the boat.
Skip tells a different story.
He slept through it. And then I smacked that rock and he just lifted his head up and then went back to sleep. just another
Get it
day.
together, jackass.
Yeah. I thought you were better than that.
Tighten it up.
All right, we'll start with a fun question for everybody, but then we're going to dive into some like technical catfishing stuff because I'm here with the catfishing nerd that is Christian Moore. It is comforting to know that I'm not the only sciencey geek when it comes to like breaking down fisheries and all that stuff. But before we dive too far into that, have you ever caught anything weird fishing that wasn't a fish?
I got a shoe one time, like a literal shoe.
Like the car, like it came out of a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like you reeled in an old boot and a tire.
Yeah, my the tip of my rod was acting weird, and the water was rising, so I knew, it probably just had junk on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of started reeling in, and it caught the current, and it felt like almost like head shakes. And I'm like, do I have a little flathead on? I couldn't figure it out. And no, it's just a Nike.
Nike. So it wasn't even a cheap shoe.
No. I'd fish for hours to try and find the match for it, and no luck.
I just see shoes on the bank. I've never reeled one in. It makes sense, as many as you see on the bank, that you would catch one eventually.
Just my lucky day.
Yeah. How about you, Christian?
Probably the weirdest thing I've got off the hook. Well, last year we hooked a deer. There was a floating deer going down the river.
Alive?
We had a big fish on in current. We had to come off spotlight to get the fish and a couple of the rods. I just left maybe, just dangling up under the boat with 20 foot of main line hanging. And we had a hurricane that had come through. So we had super high water, a lot of trash in the river. And I net the fish and I look back. I had put the boat back on spotlight and drag's just peeling off of this rod. And we look back and it's got a whole deer carcass hanging on it. That was pretty gross. It was all bloated and about to pop. And one of the kids on the boat, he was like, "Oh, bring it here. We'll pop it." I was like, "You're not popping that deer. We're going to get my rig back and we're rolling out."
So did you have to touch it to get it unhooked, or?
I used the boat hook.
That's crafty.
Yeah.
No, the weirdest one I ever caught, I was walleye fishing and I caught a condom, not in the wrapper.
Oh yeah, we call those James River white snakes. We see those all the time.
Yeah. They must have a little bit more fun on the James River because I've only ever seen one.
No, we've got the city of Richmond up there at our headwaters, so I don't see it a lot, but a couple times a year.
Spencer, I think the weirdest thing you've ever caught was that beaver.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
in the mouth.
So
like he ate the bait.
We were flathead fishing, and I threw a creek chub under a bobber up into this creek. We were fishing the creek mouth, but I threw it up into the creek, into the still water. Bobber goes down. I reel down on him, set the hook, feels solid. It's swimming. No head shakes though. So I was like, this is kind of weird. And then it just stops like it was snagged. And then a head pops up looking at me from the water. And I'm like,
what?
He was
That's crazy.
30+ pounder too. Like it was not a baby beaver. It was a good one.
He was solid. He fought hard.
And the hook was literally in the corner of his mouth.
Yeah, I don't know if he tried to eat the creek chub or if he just happened to swim by and get hooked incidentally. But either way, I had a beaver on my hands and not one that I wanted anything to do with. And
Did
but
you get your hook
thankfully,
back?
the hook came out because I was like running as I was running through ideas on how to get him unhooked. The hook just came out, thankfully.
The beaver that got away.
Yeah, that's just one of them, man. All right, Christian,
Yo,
and Ryan, and both of you, what do you think? And then you can go whatever direction you want with this, because like to having success in catfishing, and you can say success is a lot of different things. It could be catching big fish, it could be catching lots of fish, it could be winning tournaments, whatever. But what do you think is the number one most important thing to having success catfishing?
I would say grand scale, being observant. And when things happen out there, good and bad, being able to log that data and keep it in the back of your mind and keep compiling it and compiling it and compiling it. And eventually the pieces of the puzzle will fit together.
That makes sense. That's logical. Yep. I mean, that's kind of where my head's at. Like I'm constantly trying to put together a pattern or make connections and stuff like that. All in the name of catching more and bigger fish. What about you, Ryan?
Well, for the most part, my success when I go catfishing is just to breathe, just to clear the mind, take it all in, relax a little bit.
That's a very wholesome way of looking at it. I'm way too shallow.
But let's say there's clients on the boat. You know, I got to get some decent fish in the boat or numbers of fish in the boat. You know, one thing I really pay attention to is water levels. If they're rising, if they're falling, that'll take you to different areas. So that's the first thing I kind of pinpoint is water levels, and have they been stable? Are they changing? Did they change recently? And that kind of pinpoints me where I want to start at least. Sure.
And that's logical. That absolutely makes sense. So let's reverse that then. So on a micro scale, we're talking holistically, and I agree. I think those are the number one most important parts: being observative or observational, and then making those connections based on your past experiences, and then using that to figure out where you're going to go. On a more micro level, what's more important, or what's important?
Changes in current structure, you know, things like that. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about whatever direction you want to go.
Yeah, if I kind of pick an area based on, you know, the conditions, and you show up and you're looking for, you know, depending on daytime or nighttime, you know, I run mostly night trips. So I'm looking for that sandbar drop off. I'm looking for that structure that maybe runs parallel to the bank that they're going to travel upon, you know, just something that's going to catch my eye is going to catch their eye. You know, I want to intersect their travel routes, and just those little things help, you know, the seams or structure along a drop off, or just something that's going to congregate the fish.
And I don't want to be a yes man for everything, but that's something that we should talk about more. Well, I don't know if I want to talk about it more, because it's really that's where most people miss the boat on catching fish, in my opinion, is they find the right area, but it's the spot on the spot. Like
10 feet may as well be 100 feet.
If
you're 10 feet off, you might as well be 100 feet off.
And where we fish, most of the time, you're 1,000,000% right, you know, and some of it's not 10 feet, it's a foot or two, you know, between catching a fish or not. But we can dive. I'll think about more of that, and I'll think about if we really want to get into it. It's technical. It can be boring, but God, it makes the biggest, like, that is the difference between having a shitty day on the water and an awesome day on the water.
Well, how many times do you have 4 to 6 rods out and only one rod catches multiple fish? The other ones don't get touched.
All the time. Christian probably sees it all the time too. And you're on bigger water, and your spot on the spot is bigger, but not like night and day bigger.
Yeah.
But so all right, so you were saying bait, Christian?
Yeah, I would say that's I have zero confidence if I don't have fresh bait.
Sure.
That is key.
What's have you ever done anything like stupid to like get good bait? I did this week. It wasn't that stupid. The stupid part for me was
stupid.
Well, I'll 2 days ago, or before I did my 2-day camp out trip, whatever, I drove a total of 200 miles and threw a cast net for probably 5 hours trying to catch bait. And it's nothing crazy, but it sure felt stupid in the moment. Like,
5 hours is a long time to throw a net.
It was terrible. I got up early, and I was on the water at sunup because it was going to be windy. And I, like it's going to be the best in the morning, and it still wasn't good. I felt like a bobber out there, but threw the net for like 2 hours and said, this place ain't working. Went to another one, and eventually after several hours there caught enough, barely enough. Like I'm pretty much out of bait right now.
5 more hours.
I wouldn't call that stupid. I would just say you refuse to settle.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing you'd say about Spencer. He does what he has to do to get his objective met. Sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes it's got to get creative, but he's not going to quit till it is.
Yeah, I'm not very smart lots of times. But hey, we got bait. We got shad and caught some nice fish. Had a lot of fun, and wouldn't have been able to do that if I wouldn't have had that bait, and I got it.
That probably is the worst part about like 2 or 3 day camping trips is worrying about bait, enough bait.
Well, and taking care of it too, and making sure you got the resources to accommodate enough bait while you're out there. I don't know. It's a logistical issue. Like, so I got that little boat, right, that we were talking about earlier, and just I'm gonna put out a video on it as soon as I get everything put together. I'm just waiting on the multi-bars. They should be here tomorrow. But I got a little 1448 all weld. It is 2 years older than me, but man, is it a sweet little rig.
It aged finer than you did.
Yes. Oh yeah, it looks way better than me. It's not even close. But so it's a 1986. It's got a 1986 25 horse Yamaha on the back. I was gonna get another kayak, but I'm like, if I went and got a new canoe, like that wouldn't be like the boat was not very much more than a brand new canoe. So like, I'll just get the boat because I can haul more stuff with it. But it'll be a sweet solo camping rig. Like I want to do 100-mile float in it. I'm going to treat it like a kayak. But I can only do that by myself. I won't be able to haul enough bait, enough gear, all that stuff for 2 people. Unless somebody brought another boat, kind of like somebody bring another kayak. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. And I'll be able to put it in places where the big boat won't be able to go.
Yeah, you just pick it up out of the truck and throw it in.
Spencer, you should do the great loop with that little Ferrari you got.
No way.
Yes.
I don't like waves. I'm not a fan of waves.
It would be a hell of a journey.
It would be. It'd be cool. I mean, I'd be able to haul a lot of stuff. I'd be able to haul enough stuff to make it happen. Like the fuel might be the issue, but I'm sure logistically speaking, if where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, some of your other trips, you left stuff under bridges, or I met you that one day with bait. And,
that's right.
you just got to have pit stops.
Me and
Spencer,
Sam,
what's the local laws down there in Texas in terms of like a bait pen or something, or trying to procure bait that way?
that you can trap bait. You're just limited on what you can use for bait. So you can trap sunfish, bluegills. They call them perch down here. Weird looking perch, but you can or bullheads. You can trap them. They or carp. You just can't use game fish, I guess, is what it really comes down to. Any you can't use crappies, you can't use white bass. Those are the standards.
Are those drum considered a game fish down there?
No, no. I think anything that has a length limit or possession limit, bag limit, is considered game fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you can catch it however you want. Well, that's not true. You can throw nets, you can seine it, you can use a bait trap, you can do all those things to catch it. And it's funny, you kind of read my mind on that a little bit, as far as getting perch, but I just been over goldfish.
Yeah, I definitely. It would be so easy to hide a bluegill trap down there on that river.
Yeah, just put one under a bridge or something and float down and grab it on your way by.
Wherever, somewhere. Yeah, that place is cool. It was really neat.
Yeah, it's the most desolate river I've ever been.
There's nothing.
Right. And
I did see a few cows, so I know there was some source of life.
That's true. I did almost hit a deer with my boat this morning. I forgot about that.
Whoa.
I came around a bend in the river, and there was a set of rapids, and
You're like, I can't stop, dude.
oh, I couldn't. She got out of the way, thankfully, but it was closer than I liked.
Don't deer for deer.
No. All right. This is a great one. I'm excited about this one. If fish could write a Yelp review about you, what do you think they'd say?
1 star.
He tried hard, but everything else left a lot to be desired.
I don't read many Yelp reviews, but I'm saying probably something to the effect of, he cried. I never knew he was that excited.
Hell yeah. Let's talk about, that was stupid. Let's talk about some technical.
They can't all be winners, bud.
Yeah, I know. But as far as the catfishing side of things goes, everybody that's between the mountains, like so Midwest from Canada all the way to the South, is kind of having up and down, unseasonably warm weather mixed in with like weird cold fronts and weird pressure systems. Like, if you want to go catch some fish right now with all that BS, like what do you guys do?
Well, I'm ice fishing right now, so I didn't get any channel cats, but the fishing was pretty phenomenal last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I got into I camped one spot Friday night and got in some walleye and crappie, then drove another 2 hours and camped another spot, got in some walleye and perch. And then last night I went back to the first spot and got in some more walleye and crappie.
Yeah, that doesn't sound so bad.
No.
Is there going to be ice after today in your area?
If I drive that 2 hours, there will be. There was 11 inches when I was up there this weekend.
Okay, so that's pretty safe.
Yeah. The other place had 5, and there was water on top already.
Dennis says the ice is for beer, not the fish. It works for both, especially the walleyes, and the walleyes are the best tasting fish there is.
Yeah.
That little sidetrack. We'll come back to this for Christian. I want to hear, because you said today was a little bit tougher, and I want to hear about what you did to put fish in the boat in the BS weather. But bank fishing, Christian, have you done much bank fishing in recent years, or just been all
Not
out?
in recent years. When I was younger, I did a lot of bank fishing.
Okay, so let's say you're fishing a river on the bank. He's asking, do you cast downstream, far off the bank, or closer to the bank?
I mean, I feel like if you're bank fishing, you're trying to chunk it. If you're fishing from the boat, you're trying to get closer to the bank. It seems to be the thing on a smaller river. I guess ultimately it's going to depend on what type of river system it is, or lake, or what the topography is of wherever you're at, if you know it.
Right.
There's a lot of things I would have to question before I release that first bait.
Sure. How about you, Ryan?
Well, I mean, like he said, there's so many variables there. Is there a drop off? Where's the creek or the river channel? Is there a structure in a certain area?
I think it all basically what you're saying is it all comes down to reading water. Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's fishing 101.
So you look at the water, you read the water, and you put your bait in the area.
Travel route.
Yeah. I mean, whatever the current's telling you, whatever the bank, like you can look at a bank. If the bank is steep, there's a good chance that it's going to be steep into the water and it's going to be deeper there. If the bank is a shallower slope, there's a good chance that it'll continue in the water. There's always exceptions. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a million of them, but lots of times you can look at the water and tell if there's an exception or not. Like on the smaller rivers, especially when the water gets low, if there's a steep bank and the current is slower than other areas, well, you can assume that it's slower because the water's deeper. But if you have a steep bank and the water's still moving fast, then it's probably not that much shallow, or it's probably not that deep. Now, if the water's really high and it's all cooking, then you kind of just got to make educated guesses based on that. But
yeah, then you're looking for your current break where there is a little bit slower current.
And if the water's up, they're probably shallower anyway. So you're better off looking for that current break in proximity to the bank. But anyway, back to you, Christian. You had a tougher day, so everyone's going to have tougher days. What are like some of the things you did to make sure you put some fish in the boat?
Well, the last 2 days were both pretty tough. Traditionally where I'm at, I'm anchor fishing. If I've got current, I'm going to be on anchor. And yesterday morning, after trying various depths, no matter what I was marking on the graph, and I got sick and tired of staring at giant fish and just not getting any rod activity. I got the planer boards out yesterday and started dragging baits and started putting fish in the boat, and did that today, thinking, I started off first thing this morning, instead of anchor fishing, I started dragging boards, and we were putting fish in the boat, but we weren't really connecting on anything big. So fished some cover. We had falling pressure. Pressure is a huge thing. I don't know if a catfish is their swim bladder and their anatomy is more sensitive because they are a skinned fish versus a scaled fish, but man, it really messes with them, as you guys know. It just a couple of tenths even. But
I think that's time of year, man, too. Like spring fish don't seem to care, but
right. Yeah. When the water's warmer, sometimes falling pressure is one of the most phenomenal bites you'll ever see when the water's above 60 degrees, because they're feeding up before the storm gets there. But when it's cold, it makes them really lethargic.
I'm not even talking about when it's above 60, just when it's above 60, because summer fish can get fickle too. But I'm saying those springtime fish, like cold front, high pressure, cold front, warm pressure, blue jacket, green jacket, they don't give a shit. Like they're just going to keep eating. But wintertime fish, they're fickle, like summer fish can be fickle. But
100%.
You hit the number one thing for me. I mean, covering water, there's never a down, like it's never a bad thing to cover water, even when they are eating good. But when conditions get tough, even when they're not tough, but especially when they're tough, I like to put my bait in a tree and
Mm-hmm.
pheasant be their comfort area. That's my comfort area. Like, and you can never go wrong catfishing timber. You know, different
That's
trees
what the better fish we caught today come off of some sunken old barges.
well, and you're blue catfishing, and people think of trees and flatheads as being synonymous, but the blue cats like them some timber too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I agree, Joel. Saying here fishy never works for me either, man.
Doesn't stop me from doing it, but
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't hurt a thing. Heath asked a question, and this is something that I've been hearing a little bit about that probably wouldn't be a bad idea to address on here, but that Ravix rod that I helped design, there's a reel from PC Fun called the Chaos Pro, and it seems like it's hit or miss. Some people don't have problems, some people do. Catch the Fever is aware of it, and they are making adjustments in manufacturing, but if you buy a Chaos Pro, some of them don't fit the reel seat. Like the reel seat doesn't tighten down far enough to solidly hold the reel because the reel seat's smaller. But if you run into that problem, what you can do is take some electrical tape and put it on the reel feet, wrap it around, and then cinch it down. And that'll give you a much more solid hold. It's not perfect, but it's basically something you can do in the meantime until that's taken care of.
I believe that Spencer, they also make feet covers. I think you can get them at Mud Hole. I believe so. Well, you'll have to fact check me on that, but I remember running into that years ago, and I think you can get little caps that slide over the feet to make them bigger.
I think, now that you mentioned that, I do think that is a thing. I typed in real feet.
Yeah, he just said it.
Yeah. It's got to be real.
Well, as an electrician, the cover of Romex, you could cut a chunk of that off and slide that on.
That would work too, really good.
About the same scenario.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, Mike said shrink to me. That'd be another good one to do.
Same theory.
It's not what you want out of a rod that you just bought. It fits a lot of different reels, but it doesn't fit that one perfect every time. Like I said, it's something Catch the Fever's aware of. They're working on coming up with a resolution, and it'll be taken into account with future redesigns. That's one thing with manufacturing. It's like, man, you try to think of every single thing, and sometimes you just overlook dumb little ones like that. And
well, there's such a variety in feet on reels too,
Well, and with a reel of that size, you would think it would have a bigger reel foot, but they're a great reel. They're awesome reels. But yeah, it just didn't fit perfect out of the box. So I can get where that'd be frustrating. I don't blame anybody for being upset about that, but I haven't heard a lot. It's funny because I've had people that buy them and they fit perfect, and then you have people who buy them and they don't. So I don't know. Colin's got two good questions. One of them was, Joel's like, just buy the Alios. Yeah, that works. they fit perfect. But one of them was, if you could change any bait law in Iowa, what would it be? And honestly, Iowa's bait laws are pretty awesome. Like, if you catch it on rod and reel and you can legally keep it to eat, you can use it for bait. The one law that I would change, which it never will, and I get it, is just being able to transport gizzard shad. Like, you can use gizzard shad on any river or reservoir that you catch it out of, but you can't even possess it or use it for bait on any lake, is the way it's written. I'm not a lawyer though, so if you get a ticket, don't be like, well, this guy said it on.
Screwed me again.
Yeah. But I would change that where it was just more clear on gizzard shad usage, because there's times where they're awesome alive. but that'd be it. And then the other one was I don't know, Ryan, is there anything you would change?
I would like to be able to use the cast net for more species. You're throwing, and
Like
let's say you catch a nice bait-sized crappie or bluegill, and you got to throw them back, and that about rips my heart out.
I can't think of a single state where you can keep a crappie out of a cast.
I know, but it just sucks because you're like, that would be a perfect bait, and I got to throw it back.
That might be, now that you bring up cast nets, I forgot about that. It'd be nice to use it, be able to throw an 8-footer.
A bigger, yeah.
Yeah, that way you can like get some deep water shad.
Yes.
A 5-foot cast net is just a slight step above no cast net at all.
Yes. You got to hang 8 ounces on each corner to make it fall fast enough.
I mean, as soon as it touches the water, it's like this wide.
Especially the way
I'm not gonna lie, I felt like I was in a straitjacket down there catching bait with you last month back in November.
Yeah, you can only throw a 7-footer down here, which is, I mean, it's substantially more than a 5. But
you can only throw a 5 in Iowa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. You might as well, I still struggle to get it open.
You might as well just try a dip net at that point.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, Iowa has so many shad that it's not even a big deal. Like,
that's good.
Spring, summer, winter, fall, there's a way to get them. And I mean, 90% of the time, I don't even have to take a boat. Just get them off the bank. So that part's pretty nice, but it'd be nice in certain situations to be able to throw a bigger net, but that'd be it.
Yeah.
You guys got any goals for 2026? It is the new year.
Mine's super simple. You're gonna laugh at it.
I bet I don't.
I was telling my wife, I just want to laugh more this year. Not take things so seriously.
Told you I wasn't gonna laugh.
No, in all honesty, I did a lot of fun fishing last year. Traveled a lot. So I'm going to kind of lock back into the business and focus on that with Real Country Guide Service. All gas, no brakes. 100% dedication towards that. That's my goals. And have fun doing it.
My goal has always been to fish one more day than I did the year before, but I'm kind of getting to a point where it's really not possible.
You're at like 348.
Yeah. I mean, you could always go more, but it's to the point where if I were to fish more, it would compromise like the rest of my life, like relationships with friends, family, and all that stuff. So,
which is pretty highly based around fishing as it is.
Right. I mean, all of my good friends I know through fishing, that's what I do with my buddies. I go fishing. I don't really do anything else. But I don't know.
Is there anything else? No.
Yeah. Well, you want to go play golf?
Yeah.
It's like last year when the Super Bowl was happening. Super Bowl was that night, and I was fishing that day. And one of my clients was like, "What are you doing for the Super Bowl tonight, Cap?" I was like, "There's a Super Bowl tonight?" I had no idea that it was the Super Bowl.
See, that part I do know. I'm a big sports fan, and I haven't had TV in like 15 years. I'd watch a little bit of YouTube, but obviously I'm fishing all the time, so I don't watch much anything. But I listen to a lot of sports on the radio. But anyway, what I'm getting at is when I invited everybody over for the little baby get-together deal, I got YouTube TV for a day to be able to have football on, and I just kept it. Like, I've been having football games on in the background while I do other stuff, and it's been kind of nice. Now, when football's over, she's gone because I'm not spending $100 whatever on the marquee network so I can watch the Cubs when I can just listen to them on the radio. But I've been kind of enjoying that part. So that's not a fishing goal. I'll have to think of a fishing goal. Ryan, you got any goals?
My main goal business-wise is to move closer to a full-time guide and get kind of further away from my animal control. I want to get some more guide trips this year, which I think I ran 46 or 8 or something last year, but I want to jump those numbers up and kind of get out of the animal control. I feel like I got too many hats on, and it's kind of wears you down when everything's in full swing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're an entrepreneur, man. You're just juggling it all, which is
I just rather focus energy on one goal instead of 12.
Sure. Well, and you don't have a goal of catching one over 60 pounds. You've already knocked that one out.
Well, now it's 75.
Right. I hope you catch it on my fishing rod too.
I hope so too. If there's one stipulation of me catching the 75, it's got to be on your rod.
Fine. Let's how about some tackle stuff? What's your go-to rig, Christian? I already know the answer. I've asked this question before, but when you're catfishing, what rig do you tie on the most?
I'm usually 50-50 between a three-way and just a regular Carolina rig. But I've gotten recently in the last couple years, I've kind of got out of using sliders.
Okay.
The weight is fixed to the leader with a three-way swivel.
Do you use a dropper or do you just use a clip?
Just a clip.
So what's the advantage of having a fixed sinker over a sliding sinker?
Well, where I'm at, as current speeds up or slows down and the boat's drifting backwards and forth on the trolling motor, even a few feet, that with a sinker slider, if you've got a float on there, it's raising it up and it's pulling it back down and raising it up. So you can keep it at a more consistent height.
Okay.
Based off of your leader length.
And this is why I asked these questions, because I would have never considered that. Like, I look at that rig and I can think of pluses and minuses, but that one definitely was not a factor in my mind.
Yeah.
Good stuff. How about you, Ryan? What are you using?
Oh, three-way 90% of the time. You know.
So I'm using a Carolina rig, slip sinker rig 90% of the time. What is the advantage of the three-way rig over the Carolina rig?
For one, I can get my bait or my sinker, depth varies. And if it does get snagged up, it's on a lighter line. So if I got a flathead on and it gets in the logs and the sinker snags, it can break off and I can still get that fish in.
Sure. That makes sense.
Is the main advantage that I've always kind of drew on.
So it's mainly getting snagged and losing a fish, or is it the elevated bait? Like, what's the more important one to you?
Well, it depends on the situation. When I'm just fishing, I like to vary that depth of where my bait presentation is and then let the fish tell me what I change everything over to. But in a snag situation, and I've had it happen where that sinker's broke off and I've got the fish in, and, it doesn't happen more than a handful of times in my life, but that's 5 more fish than I would have got in maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hurting nothing. The only reason I don't do that more is just because I kind of get in a routine. I have a sinker slide and it's nice to take the sinkers on and off, but you could do the same thing with a loop knot on a three-way rig. Yeah. Actually, the more I think about it, the other advantage to having the sliding sinker is strictly flatheading. Well, not strictly flatheads, because any fish can get tentative, but you run into those light biting lethargic fish, and having that little extra forgiveness without resistance.
Then the slide goes back on.
Yeah, and it can make a big difference in hooking those fish at times. And other times it doesn't matter.
No.
But I used to use a fixed sinker a lot just because you could put that rig in a brush pile and get it out more often than the sliding sinker. Like the sliding sinker, you get hung up, you get your hook snagged, and your sinker slides around. It's harder to jostle it off of a branch or whatever. But I think the advantage of allowing the fish less resistance to take the bait, even a big flathead, or especially a big flathead, because they're so tentative at times. That's why I do the sliding sinker. But a 3-way rig with your sinker dropper, that's going to give you a little more wiggle room too for a lighter biting fish to take that bait. So I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it.
But I mean, you're with a sinker dropper, you're thinking, it probably gives them 6 to 8 inches, where your sliding sinker, may give them a foot or two. That could be a big difference.
Maybe. Yeah, you're going to have a buoy in the line before it starts pulling against the rod tip. I don't know. I'm sure.
Speaking of that the rod tip, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah.
That's why I love the Revenge series rods, or really any rod that Catch the Fevers put out. They have a really sensitive tip, no matter what action. Even the heavies and the extra heavies I use, when the blank shuts down, it's got a lot of power, but at the same time, it's got a sensitive tip. That makes a big difference too when you've got a finicky fish.
They do prioritize the more I wouldn't call them a parabolic bend. I would call them more of a moderate fast.
Yeah.
But they even your extra heavy action rods, they're beefy, they're more robust, but they're not pool cues.
No. I don't know how many 2 to 5 pound flathead I've had load up my extra heavies. I mean, they're just awesome.
Yeah, they do a good job. You put it on paper, and even like those rods that I made, they're not drastically different from a Hellcat.
No, those rods are awesome. Like I'm still like at that price point. That's one of the nastiest rods I've ever fished with. That's a pretty slick rod.
I'm pretty proud of them. I'm not a super proud guy, but there's currently in my life, I'm proud of like 3 things, maybe 4. And those fishing rods, how they came out, that's one.
That spelling title back in 3rd grade.
No, I've never won one of those. I know it's hard to imagine with the guy of my intellect, but I've never closed the deal on one of those. But yeah, I agree 1,000,000%. And like, even the big fish, like I used to be of the mindset that, the fish that I want to catch is just going to bury this rod. I can use any fishing rod. I can use any bait. I can hook any bait any way. The fish that I'm out here looking for is just going to slurp it up and run, and I'm going to have them. And the more and more and more I fish, the less and less I think that. There's obviously situations where catfish just roast it,
but your 20 to 25 pounders are more likely to roast it and take off than your 50s.
Or at least just as likely. I just, so anymore it's just like fish to fish, like day to day. You just there's so many variables unaccounted for, and then also I think a lot of it's just fish to fish, like person to person. Everybody's different. Fish to fish, I think every fish is different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure you see that stuff too, Christian.
Yeah, I used to be able to make the comment I could tell how big a fish was within 5 pounds just by reading how much he's flexing the rod. But there's always that one exception fish that's a 30-pounder that wants to act like he's 60. He's just putting the screws to it. So like you said earlier, it all depends on what kind of mood they're in, man.
Yeah. Well, back to the springtime. The springtime fish are less tentative, more aggressive, and I think they fight harder. And then not only do they fight harder, when you get them in the boat, they just beat the hell out of you.
What would you attribute that to? Why do you think that is in the spring, Spencer?
I just think it's a winter of being lethargic, and then the water temps start to rise, and that's just their cue that they got a lot of stuff to do. And instinctually and probably biologically, they've just been over millions of years of evolution have led them to that point where, it's springtime. It's time to eat a bunch of food. We got places to go, babies to make, and we need all the energy we can. And they're just all ramped up about, and maybe they're just, I don't want to anthropomorphize fish, but I'm going to. Maybe they're just excited that winter's over. Like, I totally get that.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Once that sun, stays out past 7 o'clock at night, it's freaking go time.
Oh, it's so wonderful. No, I love it when the days start to get long. But yeah, that's kind of where my head's at with it. Dennis, I think you're the first person to ever say horny in the comments. He said them fish are horny.
Oh boy.
Mike,
ain't wrong.
to answer your question with the weird weather, freeze thaw, and how that pertains to ice out time for channel cats. Channel cats, when they get in blues, I mean, Christian, you chime in on this too. When you get those unseasonably warm days, they head up to the shallow mud lots of times, whether it's wintertime, springtime, fall time, like any of those cooler months, you get that nice day, and lots of times they go up shallow.
That's the hot tub. That's going to heat up faster than anything else.
And the other side of that too, that is kind of something I learned, another hot tip. If you're out in a boat and you have the ability to look at water temps, lots of times you'll go shallower and the water temp will actually be colder if the nights are cold than the main body of water. But the mud itself heats up faster and retains that heat, even if it doesn't dissipate directly into the water, and there'll still be a pile of fish up there shallow. In those
here, in tidal river systems, we have a lot of unique factors that affect the water temp. One, obviously, being the bay and the ocean. Like, I've seen temps change on the graph based off of the direction of the tide and the changing tide. Like, you've got cooler water coming down from the mountains. So if I'm upriver and I've been fishing an incoming tide all morning, when it flips and start going out, even if it's midday, a couple hours after it's flipped, the temperature will drop down a degree, maybe sometimes as much as 2 degrees.
It's still so weird to me how you can be fishing a river that's flowing and then suddenly it's flowing the opposite direction. It just blows my mind, man.
It's wild, man.
What the
yeah.
It's different.
Your catfish down there got to be wired a little different. Like, if you took a James River catfish and put it in the Mississippi, I wonder what it
would be lost.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is this treadmill?
Yeah. That never stops.
Right.
You got so his fish just go from one side of the log and later that day just move to the other side of the log.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's going to be like the rivers you and I fish, Ryan. When a tree falls in the water, the current catches the leaves and sweeps it downriver, and you got the root wad upstream and then the rest of the tree downstream. What do they do on the James? Do you have just trees going every which way? Like, I'll tell you what, I wonder if they have trees that they like during an outgoing tide, and then they move to other trees during an incoming tide.
Yeah, they will move. They're going to stay in close proximity to food, cover on both tides, and deep water.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if you have all those things plus timber, if there's like certain trees they prefer when the water's going out, and then certain trees they prefer when the water's coming in, just based on the way the tree is oriented in the water.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure, just based off of what type of current break it generates. Because, I mean, they're lazy. They're going to take the path of least resistance when they want to rest.
And they're habitual. Like, they have, like, maybe this tree like I've said it, like in tree for incoming, tree for outgoing. I don't know. Now I'm wondering about that.
I don't think blue cats are, they're not as particular about it as like a flathead, because, flathead fishing, you guys do it a lot more than I do. But that's more knocking on the front door style of fishing, whereas blue cats, they roam. Yeah. Even in the colder water temperatures, they move a lot.
That's one thing that took me a while to realize is how active they are when the water temps are cold. Like they will quit moving, but there's always fish moving, even when a lot of fish aren't moving. But most of the time, most of them seem to be moving. Like they're always just roaming.
Yeah.
And you look at them fish, they don't seem like a fish that should be built for current. They love it.
Yeah, that's their happy place, man. That's in their genetics.
So I went to an aquarium probably a month or so ago, and there was two big ass blue cats swimming around. Well, they weren't swimming around in this tank. This tank was basically a pond. So there was no actual current flowing around in the pond, but there was bubbles and current coming out of these two tubes. And there was one blue cat sitting in front of one of the tubes in the current. It was very mild, but he was sitting right there. And then there was a different blue cat sitting in front of the other tube. They could have been anywhere, and they're sitting right in front of the current.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that doesn't describe blue cats, I don't know what does.
Well, we got a little break. Quick shout out to my sister Maria is watching. Hi, Nudie.
Hey, Maria. Nice. Thank you for hopping on here.
Yeah.
Well,
she likes bullshit like the rest of us.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Spin off, something off topic. If fish could talk, what species of fish do you think would be the biggest shit talker? And I put a lot of thought into this question. I'm pretty confident in my answer.
I'm gonna go with a 6-inch channel cat.
Mm.
The ones that just sit there and peck, 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 peck.
They're the most persistent.
They are the shit talkers.
What do you think, Christian?
I tell you, the ones that aggravate me most is when we're cobia fishing up here on the bay is the little sharks. They destroy our bait. I could see them talking a bunch of smack.
That's true. Mine, like I said, very confident in this response. Green sunfish. They're just going to be down there, Napoleon syndrome, little guy running their mouths. Like,
they're more of a get it done type fish. They just come up and whack it. They're the guy that sucker punched somebody from the back alley.
Yeah, and then their buddies are dragging them off, and they're just running their mouths the whole time. You're lucky. You're lucky I'm getting held back, bud. Like, you put a hook in their back, and a flathead comes up to eat them, and I just imagine them down there like, what? What are you going to do, punk? You know? And then, slurp, they're gone. But they're just talking shit the whole time, you know?
What, just because I got a hook in me, you think I'm scared of you?
Yeah. Just because I'm 5 inches long and you're like 50 pounds.
Did any of the viewers comment on what they thought?
Oh, yeah. People kept saying gar, but I don't know. They're annoying. So maybe the annoying shit talking. Definitely not the funny kind. Yeah, maybe channel cats. I don't know. Asian carp. I don't know what they'd say.
They could wreak havoc on you.
They can. But I'm just thinking of like a fish that'd be running its mouth.
Yeah.
Or the old grinnell. Tell you what, that's a fish that gets.
I've been catching a lot of those lately, man, as a bycatch. This is the time of year we catch them.
Are you up shallow catching them?
Yeah.
I think they're so cool, and people talk mad trash on them. I just think they're neat.
It's an interesting fish. It's a toothy critter. They got a lot of teeth.
They fight hard too.
Yeah, they're fun to catch. We caught one the other day. It was 13 pounds.
Holy shit, that's a giant.
Yeah, it was a big one.
The biggest one I've ever seen was 11, and I thought that was huge.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the record is here. I think it's like 16, 17 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I think the East Coast seems to grow Megatron bowfins. Mike's like green sunfish is like Joe Pesci. That's pretty good. Have you ever used bowfin for bait?
Have not.
I have a few times. I've heard people talk about how they're good bait. I have not had much success on them, but I keep asking people. I had
I
one
wonder if
person.
people eat them. You ever heard anybody eating a bowfin?
Oh, I'm sure somebody has. I haven't. Now I kind of want to.
Yeah, let me know what that's like.
They got to be mushy. Like when I cut them up for bait, they were kind of mushy. They'll probably be like gar, where you got to put them on ice immediately.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google it though. I'm gonna eat one. I'm gonna eat an alligator gar and a bowfin. Those are the two
Where
on.
find one of those?
What's that?
I said, where are you going to find one of those?
No, well, I
I've
don't
never
want to eat
seen a
one out of
place
this.
so infested with gator gar in my life.
Yeah,
Every bend where he would set the boat down off plane, it was just like poof, giant everywhere.
Christian, I didn't tell you, but I saw one not shortly after you left that wasn't much smaller than you are.
Whoa,
That's saying something.
that's a big fish.
It popped up right now. I was sitting, had nose on the bank, had the boat cocked out, rods out. I'm sitting in the chair, and this thing popped up 5 feet away from me. And it had eyes like the size of an 8-ball. And he just,
Jeez.
he came up and just did the slow roll just so I could see every inch of him. And he just kept going. It just, I
That's
mean,
wicked, man.
he was over 7, substantially over 7. Like how far over 7, I don't know. Can I say over 8? If he was, it wouldn't surprise me.
Wow, big fish.
Yeah. And he came up 2 or 3 times while I was sitting in that spot. But that was the first time in that. Well, I say he came up 2 or 3 times. It could have been another one just like in the same size range, but either way.
You be careful out there in that 1542 you just got.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's the real gators that I probably should look out for more than anything.
Are they in the Trinity as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I haven't seen one. I know they're there. There's other rivers in Texas that have plenty of gators and have more gators, but I don't know. They don't bother me as much as they probably should.
Especially with skip. Skip would be amazing gator bait.
That's my main concern. My concern is not for myself. My concern is for skip. And of all the concerns for skip, my number 1 is coyotes.
Yeah.
My number 2 is gators down here. I don't think a bird's going to get them, but
they could.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's not much bigger than a lot of their prey. So
No.
Skip would be a light snack for a lot of those fish in that river Skip rides on every day.
That's true. And he's just running around on a sandbar, ignorant, doesn't know no better, just living his best life.
I'm worried about the eagles, man.
Nah, I mean, he's got a life jacket on, so that helps with the talons. And he does
It gives
weigh
them something
11
to grip to.
but he weighs 11 pounds. They're not going to be able to carry him away.
I've seen an eagle grab a fawn off the edge of the river, bro.
Bullshit. I gotta see that.
He could listen to me. He could not lift off with it, but he drug it out into the river while it was screaming and flailing and killed that sucker and then swam it back up on the bait and started eating it. It's one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in the wild.
A bald eagle?
Facts. Yes, sir.
No. Oh, wow.
That's
we're
awesome.
We're talking about like it might have been this fawn's first drink of water. He's hobbling down to the river for his first drink of water, you know, because this thing, he was all imbalanced. You could tell he hadn't been walking long. It did not bode well for his first drink of water, my friend.
His first and his last drink.
Yeah.
Bull,
Bambi never
bullhead
stood
for
a
the
chance.
bullhead for the fawn.
Rest in pieces.
True story.
Maybe I'll keep an eye on the bald eagles a little bit more.
Who thinks to look up for danger?
Now you got me thinking. A wild turkey's number one predator is a great horned owl. And wild turkeys are 15 to 25 pounds, some a little bigger, some a little smaller, which on average is quite a bit bigger than skip. And great horned owls are not as big as bald eagles.
No.
So there is that.
And they hunt at night when Skip likes to frolic.
We had our first cold snap here, and the shad went deep, and they suspended over ledges.
Yeah.
They were eating seagulls and ducks. That's pretty cool to see them attack a seagull or a duck in midair and carry him off to the nest.
I've never the only cool bald eagle encounter I've seen in that category is I saw one swoop down and pick up a carp, and the carp was so big that it had a hard time gaining altitude. Like it snatched it up and then just kept gliding and then flapping its wings trying to get higher up in the air. But the carp was big enough where it couldn't. So it looked like it was going to fly into the dam of this lake. And then then it veered off at the last minute. But I was totally expecting a collision that never happened. But that's where my mind went. I'm like, this carp that it couldn't pick up was smaller than Skip. But I guess if they just attack him and drag him into the water and drown him and then kill him, then yeah.
Take a pistol with you.
I don't think I could hit him.
You'd scare him.
I wouldn't tell anybody if you did.
That's no. I didn't even think about it. That's good.
Missed him by a mile.
Yeah.
Federal crime or Skip walks away.
Yeah. That's a great would you rather question. That's legal consequences.
In Iowa,
sure.
the only thing I see them eat is roadkill. They're lazy up here.
Yeah.
They don't kill anything.
Back to catfishing.
Yes.
What was one of the questions one of my followers had that they posted?
Give your number one tip for hummingbirds.
You're gonna go graph specific.
Right.
Yeah, David Campbell had that question of Justin Fish Finders.
Yeah.
I would say, and dude, I could talk for days about this.
The sonar guru,
but I will tell you this: the sole most number one thing you got to do is mount the transducer correctly, where it's getting clean water, no cavitation. To the right of the propeller, ideally, is where they like it, a minimum of 14 to 16 inches away from the center of the shaft. But look up under your boat, guys. Like if you've got any rivets or any crazy kind of fittings, anything that would cause turbulence, because once it creates one little air bubble, it's going to distort that ping and the signal coming back to the crystals inside that transducer, and it's not going to be able to write it clearly to the screen on the monitor. And then as far as dialing them in, obviously you got to figure out what you're fishing for. Most everybody here is looking for catfish. So I would say there is no set it and forget it settings. I'm always changing my contrast and sensitivity based off of water clarity. But what I tend to do, especially with 2D sonar, is obviously I'm trying to target big fish. So I will linger towards turning the sensitivity down to where I'm only marking those larger returns so I don't see everything in the water column. And if you have a fish finder that has chirp sonar, and for those of you that don't know what chirp sonar is, what it does is when it pings on its cycle, say if it's on 200 kilohertz, that's a wavelength. But chirp sonar is multiple wavelengths. Like on Garmin has a really good chirp sonar. It's shooting like, I forget how many, but what it does, instead of, think of it as like a like a machine gun. You know how like a machine gun can have like a 3-round burst? That's what it's doing. Every time it pings, it's shooting 3 different frequencies. And that can help us out a lot if we're scanning areas that have a ton of bait, a ton of species of fish. That helps create target separation. So if you've got chirp sonar, try to get that dialed in. That'll help you a lot on your 2D. My biggest tool when I'm scanning, looking for catfish, is side imaging.
For sure.
When I'm in shallow water, run it at 455. And then if I'm deeper than 20, 25 foot, I'm running at 800 kilohertz. And another thing you can get into messing with, if your graph has it, is time variant gain. What that helps the electronics do, if it's seeing targets in deep water, if you touch that up just a little bit, the return will give you a more actual size of the fish. Say if I'm scanning a big flat that's 35, 40 foot deep, so I can use that scaling system that they give you, on your side imaging. It's got 10 foot, 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way out to 100. If you were to take that return when you're in shallow water, when you mark a fish and put it in between those little hashtag marks, that kind of gives you an idea of how big the fish is to a degree. So when you turn your time variant gain up a little bit, it will help adjust the signal from the returns that's pinging off the bottom on your imaging. Those are a few things, just little quick tips to look at when you're dialing in your graphs. And I think most of your monographs, no matter it's Humminbird, Garmin, Simrad, Lowrance, they all have those things.
Yeah, that's like, man.
That is light years above where I'm at, buddy.
But they're good tips. Like if you're going to spend the money on a graph, like it's worth taking the time to figure out how to use the damn thing. Like otherwise you just have
ultimately you got to put the transducer on the back of the boat, right?
That's clean power. In clean power, like
good clean power. That's a must. Yep. Don't run it into your fuse panel, guys. Put it on its own battery with a duplex double shielded wire. That makes you may not think it makes a difference, but it makes a huge difference.
So everyone's like, oh, graphs are so complicated, and they can be. Like you didn't even take a deep dive. You just hit like key points, surface level stuff.
No, it gets way deeper than that, guys. But those are just like a few key points that'll help you out.
But none of that matters if you don't have clean power, your
Correct.
transducer, and it's in the correct spot and it's level. Like you need a level transducer. So you do those 3 things, then you can dick with settings, like, and then playing with all those other stuff. But until you do those 3 things, none of that matters. So take those, clean power, mount at the correct spot, and make sure it's level. After that, then everything that Christian just talked about are great points. But Dennis is like, my rope with knots every 3 feet doesn't have any settings. You got to be able to measure your knots.
Yeah, I mean, you can time it 1.5 feet.
Yeah. and graphs are kind of like that, I guess, a little bit too. But while you're doing the deep dive, which I really love, like somebody goes off and talks about something they're passionate about and really into, that's awesome. I'd add to it, but I have nothing to add to it. So I'm just going to ask a stupid question. Well, it's not even stupid. I'm genuinely curious. What's the number one thing that's both of you guys, if somebody asks you a question about fishing, it's the number one thing you guys lie about? And I'll go first if you guys want to think about it a little bit, but the number one thing I lie about is where I caught them.
Yeah.
Which comes out through videos eventually.
If they've been there.
If they've been there.
I think everyone does that. Right? Don't they?
I mean,
I always say in the water. That's my favorite. In the water. 3 words. That's where I caught him.
You go to a boat ramp.
I'm not a good.
How'd you do? I caught some small ones. Got a couple small ones.
Yeah, I don't lie. I'm not a good liar, period. I try to be as honest as possible with fishing.
Well, I usually catch a few small ones. I just sometimes catch a bigger one. I just leave that one out.
Right. No.
Do you ever lie about bait? I was trying to think. All right, we talked about number one being where you caught them, but number two, what you caught them on. I don't really lie about bait. I definitely lie about where I caught them, but I don't.
This is a terrible question, Spencer.
Oh, it's a great question. It's an incriminating.
It is. I'm gonna plead the fifth on the shenanigans.
I can just see the cogs turn into your head. You're like, oh, do I want to go there?
You know the game, bro.
All right, fine. This is kind of in the same vein.
Well, I mean, it all depends on who you're talking to as well, and what their outcome wants to be. Is it just some random Joe Schmo that's fishing off the bank, or is it some guy you're going to fish the tournament against tomorrow?
Yeah, I will say, if you fish a tournament, everybody's lying.
Everybody.
For sure.
Until it's over. And that if there's anyone that's interested in, like, truly, I'm not even saying interested, truly passionate about becoming a better fisherman, whether we're talking catfish, walleyes, bass, crappies, whatever. The number one, the fast track is to start fishing tournaments. And you're gonna, I mean, maybe you won't get your teeth kicked in. I did, so I got my teeth kicked in.
When I started,
right? But what happens is everybody lies, but then when it's over and you're hanging out, chatting, whatever, and then people just start sharing stuff, and every little nugget of information you tuck that way, and then it adds to this whole conglomerate of things that you've learned. Like, you add it to everything you know, and I'm not saying you should copy what other people do, but you can take that information and put your own little personal spin on it in the way that you fish and help make you a better fisherman. And it's just all this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not stuff that, like, you can read every fishing magazine you ever want, and there's all these things that all these great fishermen have learned over the years that they share with you, and then you just take it and run with it in your own way. And yeah, it's fishing tournaments that's I'm 10 times, no, not even 10. I'm 1,000,000 times better at catfishing since I started fishing some tournaments. It's not even close.
I mean, knowledge is definitely important, but the application of that knowledge is what gets fish in the boat.
I agree.
You know, you could have this idea, but until you actually, put the pen down and put it into application, that's when you're going to start evolving.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. And I understand luck does play a part in fishing to some degree, but man, there's some guys that are always up in the mix, and that has nothing to do with luck.
100%.
There's a handful.
I remember there was I forget whose channel it was on. It was years ago, and they were under the impression that catfishing was like 90% luck. I think that is the biggest bunch of BS I have ever heard in my life.
I agree.
It is on my boat for sure.
There are guys out there all over the country that do it day in and day out and are very consistent.
That
ain't luck.
The consistency thing, that to me that eliminates that discussion right there. Like, if it was luck, why did this teams XYZ? I mean, you can go on and name them, like the Massengales, the Fountains, the Mitchells, and Bill Sutton,
Mac Minetta. Those guys,
they
do well wherever they go.
Right,
yeah.
And it's not an accident.
It's not a home water thing. It's all across the nation.
They understand the species.
Well, and I think different teams are really good for different reasons too. Like, what what Mac and Bill are good at is not going to look the same as what Jackson and Mike are really good at. There's going to be some crossover. There's going to be some similarities for sure, but each of those teams have those things, those strengths that they lean on and are really good. I mean, there's some core elements. Don't get me wrong, but there's, I don't know, they all do different stuff and they're good for a handful of different reasons, but they're all consistent, good, and like winning. I think winning takes some luck, but being up there in like close to the winner, I don't think that's luck. Not when you do it all the time.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, anybody can stick 100 and put them over the top. That's Blue Cat tournaments. Somebody can luck into that 100.
Right.
I feel like I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of teams. Damian Clark.
There's dozens and dozens of teams. Great anglers, man. You made the comment earlier, being a tournament, getting into tournaments made you better at fishing. Dude, as long as you keep your head down and stay humble, those guys like you just named off, they're going to start showing you some respect. And if you ask them a question, they'll give you a legitimate answer. Those are like when the guys I fished against, guys just getting in tournaments, if they're out there on the river all the time studying, putting the time in, when they ask me a question, I don't lie to them. I give them an honest answer because I know they want it and they're working for it.
Sure. Well, and then there's also the other variable is those guys are arguably the best. And like I said, I'm forgetting a handful of teams. I've had too many bush lights, and I'm going to have some more. So it's not going to get any better. But
it's going to go downhill.
Right. But there are other excellent anglers that are fishing these tournaments, and every one of them has something that they can share and will share and are nice enough to pass along that's going to help you become a better fisherman. Like there's a guy that I've fished with quite a bit recently, but talking to him at tournaments, he shared a few little tidbits. Adam Flegel, and he doesn't get brought into the discussion like of the people that we're talking about per se consistently, but he's a consistent fisherman no matter where he goes. He just hasn't had that big win on a big stage. Like that's the only thing he's missing. But he knows a ton of, well, at least big stage that I'm aware of. He wins a ton of, well, he won Calamus. That was a big stage. The more I talk, the more trouble I'm just going to get myself in. Moral of the story is there's a bunch of really
right. We get where you're coming from.
Yeah, that have a lot of good things that are only going to make you better. But Ryan ran off. This is a fun one. And I'm going to try to think of some. Oh, do you use rattles?
I don't use like the demon dragons and stuff. I don't use none of that. But I tell you what I have become quite fond of is the rattle pegs from Dragon Masters. Love like those things. The ones that come with their bite me floats.
Yeah.
But I use them in everything. All my floats, I'll put one of their peg rattles in it. I love those things because I'm not big on the real loud rattly stuff, but just a subtle amount of rattle.
Yeah.
I think that's a great product.
So do they sell them just on
you can get them separate. Yeah, you don't have to buy the bite me floats. They sell, I think it's like a dozen or something to a pack, but
okay.
I would, if you hadn't tried it, I would definitely try it. They're the bee's knees. I use them on every float I run.
See, I didn't realize that. I knew you could get the float with the rattling pegs in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize that you could just get the pegs and put them in any float that you wanted.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick.
Sure enough.
Now, Dragon Master makes good stuff. They got that. Then they got the cool sinkers. I haven't dabbled with them too much. I'm not big on, if I can anchor and not have to worry about dragon, I'm gonna anchor and not worry about dragon. But their hooks, are what I really like. Those stump jumper circle hooks.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good hook.
I'm a big fan of those. I like how they're thinner wire, but still strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that thinner wire hook not only presents your bait more naturally. I think it gets bit more, and then I think that hook style hooks fish better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a thinner wire hook, it's going to take less pressure for it to penetrate,
Right.
just because it's a smaller diameter. That's the benefit there. Where I'm at, that's a very, very sensitive line I have to skirt, because in heavy current, I don't need to be messing with no thin wire hook. They'll bend them straight.
I go back and forth on that, and the only reason I do so is I've never straightened a hook out on a fish. And I feel like I run pretty heavy drag all the way around, and thin wire, thick wire, even kale hooks. There's thin wires you're going to run into, and I've never straightened one out on a fish.
I've probably done it maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always that thinner wire stuff with a big fish and heavy current.
Right.
They'll get to the top of the surface and start rolling.
Well, and then you have nothing to forgive because all your stretchiness is wrapped up in the fish. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe the fact that I put a ton of pressure on fish, preventing that from happening very much, it makes a difference. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
well, you don't fish a lot of like heavy current on anchor. Like back home, you were bumping in heavy current, weren't you?
Yeah, now you got me thinking about that too. So when it's warmer out and I'm fishing heavy current, I'm walking baits.
Yeah.
And if I'm anchor fishing, usually it's in reduced current.
Right.
I have fished heavy current on anchor some, but yeah, it's more the exception. It's more of a time of year thing on certain bodies of water, and certain bodies of water that I don't fish all that much. Like if I'm on the mow and it's that fall time frame, like that 50 to 60 degree water where they move a little shallower, I'll often spot lock or anchor and walk a bait, and then also throw out some rods on the bottom in some stouter current, like your 2-3 mile an hour current. But yeah, 90% of my anchoring's been in nose the boat up on the bank and 0.5 mile an hour current. So that's a good point. I hadn't considered that. You're full of good points, Christian. That's why I brought you on. That's why I wanted you to.
I'm full of something.
I'm learning shit today. It's a good day. Ryan, I got to go pee and grab a beer. Talk about rattles. Do you use
rattles? I think they make a bigger difference when I'm pulling baits than if I'm anchored up. No, every time I put out a set of rods, at least one of them is going to have a rattle on it. Sometimes it seems like it makes a difference. A lot of times it doesn't seem to. But when I'm pulling baits, the ones that have the rattles seem to get hit more than the ones that don't.
Yeah, I would agree with it. I could tell you where I think I noticed the biggest difference is deeper water. And I feel like in deeper, now when I say deeper, 35, 30, 35 and on 40, 50 foot, where that fish is probably more relying on its lateral line to hunt instead of necessarily smell or sight.
Yeah.
I think having something that rattles definitely makes a difference. And I've seen that over and over again.
I almost kind of think of it like, the sirens in front of the parade. They could hear it before the baits get there. Like they're already on alert type situation.
Yeah.
So
it definitely is going to strike their curiosity. But I'm trying to I feel like that's the only place I've noticed it make a significant difference in terms of dragging baits or on anchor and current is in the deeper waters.
Which when I'm dragging baits, I'm usually channel catfishing, in reservoirs or lakes. But that seems to be the biggest time that I've seen that they definitely pay off.
What about you, Spencer? Have you ever noticed rattles being more successful in certain depths than others?
Well, I noticed that I got up and Skip sat in my spot, and as soon as I sat back down, he left. So I must
Time
not.
to shower, bud.
Yeah. No, my instances kind of mirror Ryan's, where the biggest difference I've seen for rattles has been moving bait presentations, either dragging or walking a bait. I think a lot of that is just that lateral attractant, where you have a chunk of bait that has scent washed directly downstream, but you have a noise component that can get fish's attention right or left of the bait. Like, it's not just a fish following a scent trail, or you walk a bait directly to a fish. You can get their attention right or left, or also let them know that something's coming that they need to look out for. But as far as depth goes, not really. I say that because the majority of my fishing, that style of fishing, is pretty shallow water, like less than 20 feet. Well, in Vicksburg, rattles made a big difference for us, and we were fishing very deep there. But I've had success shallow. I've had success with them deep. It just seems like the biggest things is moving baits, like anchoring. Sometimes it does seem to make a difference.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference is dragging, bumping, that type of stuff.
Like I said, I'm always in my set of rods, something's going to have a rattle on it.
You know, the last 2 weeks, or this last week, and the reason I haven't had very many rattles is because I've snagged so much. Like, I've lost 50 hooks in the last 6 days.
Holy crap.
50?
Yeah. I mean,
that's doing it.
The fishing's been tougher, and so I've just started fishing right in the junk, and I've caught more fish, but I've lost a lot more rigs.
Yeah.
The level of water has come up because he's put so much lead in the system.
No, just hooks, just snagging hooks. All right, I've lost some sinkers too, I guess. Chances you should drink more Busch Light, Ryan. So
I'm trying to keep up.
Bullhead, I'll do it with you. What floats do you recommend? You got any recommendations on floats or rattles or any of that stuff?
Amazon's got some great deals. You know, you don't have to buy name brand stuff for it to work. If you jump on Amazon and kind of sort around, you know, the different sizes, the different colors that you prefer, because I think it more to catch a fisherman than a fish, but there's a lot of options that are out there that can save you a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, they all function the same. I will say the EVA is nice that it's more durable, but versus styrofoam. But I mean, you're gonna snag if you're like, I lost 50 hooks this week. You know, like, I'm gonna lose them left and right. So I'm probably going the cheap route unless there's a float that somebody comes out that works better. They all seem to do the same thing to me, but I'm not as nuanced about it. Christian, you got any deeper dive into that? Like, any rationale behind going a specific direction?
I think shape more than anything. Like, the EVA foam is nice. It's pliable. It's not going to interfere as much with your hookup because it squishes. That's the good thing about those Bite Me floats. They're very, very pliable in that I've had, you know, the 2-inch, 2.5 inch, that, you know, there's rounder oval shaped floats. I've missed some fish over the years. I love the way those floats perform. I feel like they give
they're
a little bit of an action to the bait instead of a cigar float.
Okay.
But the ones that are larger in diameter, you know those ones I'm talking about, the shorts, they're shorter than the cigar floats, but they have a larger diameter.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to move the bait around a little bit more, and you put those rattle pegs in there. That's what I've been using recently, is those bigger floats from Mid-Atlantic Catfishing with the rattle pegs from Drift Masters or Dragon Masters.
If you're talking about the ones I'm thinking of, like, those are dirt cheap. You know, so if you do bust them off, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They're super buoyant too, you know. Like,
they're extremely buoyant.
you can float a big ass bait well up off the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
And I like them too, dragging, because you can like specifically dragging deep water, running a 3-way. You can run a super long leader and have it 12 inches from the hook to where you don't even have to worry about it interfering with your hookup.
Well, that's
but it still floats it good.
That nobody talks about, at least nobody that I've heard talk about it, is where you put your float in relation to your swivel. Like, so you have your swivel, you got your hook, and then you got your float in the middle. Where you put that on that leader affects a lot of that stuff. You can put it close.
Oh God, man, there's so many nuances to that, pulling boards or just dragging baits in general, float size, bait size, hook weight, all that stuff matters.
Yeah, and then also the combination of how you put it all together matters.
For sure.
Yeah. So what works for one person might not work for you for a bunch of different reasons. Like, so I'm a big fan of softer rods, braided fishing line, and that combo right there changes the physics of how the hook operates at the very end.
Absolutely right.
Versus you guys use stouter rods and mono, which is wrong, but you make it work. So how you hook a fish is going to be a little different, but that's only a couple variables, like your leader length, your float positioning, your float type. Like, just depends on how nerdy you want to get with it. But you're 1,000,000% right, Christian. It all matters.
So what I would love for someone to build, I think would be the coolest thing for a tackle shop, to have a huge, like 1,000-gallon tank where you could simulate current.
Oh, sure.
And tie different, and make it call it 6 foot deep or whatever, and tie, bring your rigs in there that you've made just to see how they do in different current speeds. That would be the shit.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. There's tackle manufacturers that have the test tanks and everything, but it would be to have an open source pool, clear pool that you can see it. That would be really cool.
Well, it'd be like NASCAR with the wind tunnel. You build this high performance car and you take it to the wind tunnel and you see how it actually
exactly. Yeah, we need that. Get on it. Who's going to build one?
I just put a bait tank in the backyard, so that's just one step closer.
Most people call that a swimming pool, bud.
Yeah. Most people water their cows out of the ones that I use. Which reminds me, all right, let's see if you guys can help me out with this one. So I fished for the last 2 days. In that tank, there were 80 goldfish in it. The last week or so, I've had just the tank and a bubbler, and they were doing okay. I'd lose 1 or 2 a day. And then before I went on my trip, I hooked up the pump. I hooked up a filter. And so I'm pumping water. The water's circulating through it and through a filter. And then I got back, and every single one was dead except 2. There was 2 survivors out of the 80. So I'm going to be
filter.
I don't know. I got it off Amazon.
I'm going to say probably ammonia, man.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do
Is it vented?
Yes, but I didn't do a water swap. I probably should have swapped water before I left. And I just wonder if they were already compromised because of high ammonia levels, and then I introduced current, and suddenly they're fighting current while they're in a compromised state, and that just put them over the top and they died. But I'm asking. That's my thought. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would lean towards what is in the filter. Because I kind of use the same system year after year, and I always worry about what's compromised it from when I took it out to when I'm putting it in. So I usually let it run a week or so with 5 or 6 baits in it before I introduce bait.
That would have been smart. I'm not smart lots of times.
I mean, you're kind of an all-in type of guy, bud.
Yeah. Well, I got more goldfish coming, so no worries. And I guess I'm using cut goldfish tomorrow.
Can't wait to kill them.
Yeah.
When you say you set up a bait tank, how big is it? How many gallons of water?
100 gallons.
Goldfish.
And they're not big. They're like 4, 5, 6 inches.
Yeah.
So
I would think you would still probably need, with 100 in there, you'd still probably need to do like a minimum of like a 30 to 40% water change weekly.
yeah, probably. That would be the smart thing to do. And that's it. It comes down to a time issue, is what it was. And I just paid the price this go around, is probably what happened. Like, you gamble a little bit, and then I lost.
So I'll tell you this: when I've got a 300-gallon downstairs, and I was always a big advocate of setting up my bait tank with the water from where I'm fishing at. Well, I found out the bacteria in that water, once you isolated it in something, it would grow to a point where the fish couldn't sustain life in it because they were getting ick really bad. So I was like, okay, let me try, my regular well water. And it had too many metals in it and stuff. So I ended up finding what is that stuff? G juice.
Yep.
I fill up with my house water and treat it with G juice. I've never had a problem since.
So that's essentially what I do, but I use Better Bait, which operates under the same principles.
Very same principles. Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes a little further.
Yeah, it's just cheaper.
Lasts a little longer. Yeah.
That's why I go with the Better Bait. But I mean, I've had overall pretty good success. Rural Iowa water seems to do better than urban Iowa water.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm urban where I'm at.
Yeah. Here's one that nobody talks about very often, other than nerds like myself. When you hook your bait, I'll just say this, I won't have anything lingering when I ask this question. When I hook a bait, I don't want my bait to spin. I want my bait to lay flat in the current, cut bait or live bait. If I'm in current, I'm going to lip hook them so they look natural in the current. If I'm in reduced current where I think that bait can fight back the other direction, I'll tail hook them. But by and large, I do not want my bait to sit underwater and just spin. Like, do you do anything, Christian, in
Why
regards
would
to
you want it? Yeah, I definitely don't want mine spinning. A fish they're going to eat is not sitting down there spinning. He's doing this.
Right.
At the very most, I don't like any type of spin. I'm very conscientious about that, to the point where if I cut something a little off before I cast it out, I'll dip it down in the water and watch it for a second before I let it fly.
Well, that was right where I was going to go. Was the hot tip on making sure it doesn't spin is to drop it in the water to double check it. And Ryan, I'll tell you this, and I've never told you, but I giggled about it when it was going on. You and I and Sam.
That's where I learned that Alabama trip.
Oh, I did tell you about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anybody about it in the moment.
No. You just caught 5 fish to R1.
Right. So we were in Tennessee, but barely Tennessee. Actually, we might have went back and forth Bama to Tennessee, depending on the spot we were at. But we were fishing, and just magically, I was catching like 5. Yeah, it was probably 5 to 1 on my rods, and nobody else was getting bit. And everyone was like, "You're just lucky. You're just lucky." Well, and that kind of goes back to the tournament thing, how some guys are consistently up there, and it's little things like this. Not to say that I'm a genius, but in this moment I had an edge, and that's a lot of the things, is somebody has an edge over. Well, usually it's a lot of different things, but anyway, in this instance, I hooked my bait in a way where it wouldn't spin in the current; it'd lay flat, natural, and I was catching more fish than everyone else who was just hooking their baits, and it was spinning in the current. And that seems to be a bigger thing though in cold water. Like when the water's hotter and the fish are eating, like they're more active, I don't think it matters as much. But like,
Well, it makes sense because the prey that they're preying upon, especially like a gizzard shad, when the water gets cold, that dude's not moving fast at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless I throw a cast net over them and then it's like 1,000 and I catch like 7.
Chance is calling me out. It says the bush lights are hitting me. I've just been up since 4 o'clock, bud.
Yeah.
I'm wearing down.
3 a.m.
I woke up at the crack of 3 a.m. shivering my ass off and then went back to sleep.
Yeah, you had a rough night.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. It's a byproduct of being a business owner. I'd say a fisherman, but really it's a business owner thing.
Yeah.
Part of the pursuit, man. That's cool.
I didn't even think about that. We're 3 small business owners right here, kind of. And I say kind of just
I just know my boss sucks.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
I just got done logging all I say this, my sweet mother-in-law started helping me with all my receipts and stuff this year. I spent a lot of money. The business spent a lot of money in 2025.
That I'm good at doing that myself. Like better than I should be. I mean, I did just buy a boat, so.
Yeah, but I got all the fuel receipts, the tackle receipt. I got this. It was getting, when you're on the water all the time, you don't have time to do it.
I can relate.
And it adds up so quick. You're just hitting that gas pedal forward, and then if you need to pay something, you just pay something, and then you look back, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started my first year in business. I think I was at like $7,000 in fuel the first year. I was close to 16, 17 racks this year between the truck and the boat.
I feel like I spent 17,000 in fuel just on the boat run I made the last couple of days.
30 miles, that's nothing.
So much.
I used to think a 30 mile, I'll say this. I used to think a 30-mile run up river was something until I went to the Mississippi.
Well, and that's the thing too, though, is it from a gas usage perspective, like 30 miles in my boat is nothing. Like you burn a lot more fuel than I do. You got a bigger boat, bigger motor, all that stuff. The 30 miles that I ran just seemed like a long ways because I had to hop like 12 different rapids and weave through logs the whole way, and versus just hammering.
So you had a 60-mile round trip that day. How much fuel did you burn?
21 gallons.
It's not great.
Your boat is not fuel efficient, sir.
No, but it's a jet.
It's the jet that is what's doing it, but
it's a jet, and it might have been more than 30 miles. Like I just did a line. It might have been 45 because of how windy the river is.
I can get further in my boat on 20 gallons than 60 miles.
Sure. So
not much, but we're talking maybe closer to 25.
Even hammered down, like just wide open throttle.
Yeah, I don't ever know. Absolutely not.
Okay, because that's the only way you can run a jet. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. They don't like to go slow.
No. Although, all right, so there's a handful of layers to the gas usage, but the biggest thing that I'm getting at is it just feels like 30 miles on a small river just feels so much further than 30 miles on a big river.
100%. Yeah, that's you're on a glorified creek basically where you're at.
Yeah,
it's not wide at all.
Well, and it's the opposite.
That's a long 30 miles is a long way on that body of water.
Like I'm navigating logs, like you turn a corner in the river and you see this lineup of trees and you're like, I think I can fit,
If not, I'm gonna get stuck really bad.
Oh, well, you wouldn't. I wouldn't get stuck. I'd just be bouncing off of shit like a pinball machine, you know. And that wouldn't be that's expensive.
Yeah.
But it sure does add to the adventure, man. So I don't know. I enjoy it. At some like part of me, it's like there's the anxiety, nervousness of breaking stuff so far away from people and civilization and anybody who could even help or think about helping. But
That was going to be my comment on the Life 360. What's Ella going to do from the house when
well,
you're 30 miles away?
that was one of the
Call
things.
the authorities, Ryan.
That was one
Like,
of the
we
things
can't
that
get there.
why I was like, why is it a big deal? Like, what are you even going to do?
I love y'all's idea. Ashley and I did the same thing. We were like, it'd probably be smart for you to know, in case something happened, because I'm always out in the middle of God knows where out on the water.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried it, but like my phone was dead every day by like lunchtime. I was like, I'm deleting this app. This is ridiculous.
I'll send up smoke signals if I need you.
Right.
Hell yeah. Well, we've been on here almost 2 hours, boys. Let's do our last cast, which is just you talk about whatever you want to talk about to wrap her up. Ryan, you want to start? You want me to start? Or you want Christian?
I'll start her off. It's kind of an off season in Iowa right now. It's been in the 40s and 50s for 10 days. So I got to travel 2.5 hours to find ice. And the open water, I really haven't hit. There is some open water that could be utilized. I just haven't taken the time to do it. So I'm kind of in the organization and getting ready for next year's stage. This taking a lot of reels apart, got them oiled, got them cleaned up, got fresh line on them. So I'm using my downtime wisely, which in Iowa that you just kind of spin your wheels until April, May, when the world kind of comes back to life. It's almost like everything just kind of dies off and goes dormant. And then all of a sudden, like we were talking about those fish exploding in the spring, I'm the same way. I just can't be inside once springtime comes. So I'm already looking forward to that, and it's January.
I do miss that just a little bit. Like I'm not gonna. I don't want to go back to it, but the prep, like the steps you take to get ready for the season is. I'm not even going to say it's even remotely close to the actual fishing side of things, but it's kind of fun, like you're
ordering all the tackle and running through the situations and fine-tuning every inch of everything.
Yeah, you're organizing everything. It's the only time out of the year where your tackle box is actually organized. It looks good,
and that lasts at least 3 trips.
Maybe if you're lucky. But yeah, that's I'm with you on that. Don't worry, I'll bring the cold weather with me when I come back in about 2 weeks.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can. It would be cool if some of this warm weather would pop up while I'm back, so I could go do some river walleye fishing while I'm around.
Yeah, the river most of the rivers are open for sure. I mean, there were some that were like, I'm not going to say, but that ramp that I use quite often, I ice fished that once already this year.
Did you really?
Yeah, there's 6 inches of ice on it.
Did you catch any fish?
I didn't. But that can be a very good walleye spot in the winter.
Did you see fish?
A lot of little channel cat.
Okay.
Yeah, like hordes of them.
Are you talking about like 4 inches, or are you talking about like one?
There was a cloud. I put my live scope down and there were just clouds. I'm sure some of them were shad, but I did hook one and it was a channel cat about 4 inches.
So you wished you had a cast net.
Yeah. Through my 8-inch ice hole.
I pulled more catfish out of a cast net in the last week than I have in a long time. Price of business. Christian, what do you want to end with?
What is the premise of your last cast? What are we looking for here?
Well, it's pretty much unlimited. Like you can go as deep into it as you want, but the true foundation is for somebody to have the opportunity to like share whatever promotion they haven't got to or want to emphasize. Like if somebody wants to book a trip to go chase giant ass blue cats on the James River with Christian Moore, they go to realcountryguideservice.com, right? Or at least
That
Google it.
I'm gonna leave it on a little tidbit of a little tips and tricks thing from any of those who were watching that fish the Tidal River region.
I love it. This is
where
great.
I live.
Yes.
January's almost gone. We've got February, March, April coming. You know what that means, guys?
January 7th. We aren't even halfway.
He's already getting rid of 12.
Regardless, dude, I've been up since 3. Regardless, things are there's some big changes that are going to start happening on the river. You're going to have a lot of species of fish coming out of the bay, spawning up the river. Pay attention to that stuff, guys, because it severely affects the catfish and their behavior and their movement and how they start their spawning run of the year, especially when the American shad, the hickory shad, the herring, when they start running in here, striped bass is fixing to start coming in here. Do yourself a favor, take a day off from wetting a bait and wetting a hook and just go stare at that fish finder all day and look at stuff. You'll thank me
Brian
later.
loves doing that.
Yeah. Dude, that's the worst part of tournament fishing for me. I know it's the most crucial, but it's the worst because I am a go, go, go guy. And when I am forced to sit and study
And shut up. Close your mouth.
12 to 15 hours a day.
Look at that
You're
screen.
going to have to find something that makes it fun for you, bud.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Disclaimer alert.
Beer fixes everything.
It does.
Or at least those types of things. Beer can even make me tolerable at times. So
Yeah, see the name of my beer.
what's honest mistake? Officer, yes. Ossifer. Bullhead. No, that's good stuff, man. And again, if somebody's looking to book a trip with Christian or book a trip to catch giant fish, Christian is a great person to reach out to. Real Country Guide Service. Type it in the Google machine. He's got well, you didn't even talk about your boat. You're like probably the only person I've fished with that is fishing out of a battleship.
Yeah, well, and that that's by design for the business and for the comfortability of the clients. That G3 was a lot cheaper to trailer, a lot cheaper to run, but I wanted to generate an experience for people of all ages out there on the water and keep them comfortable in the summer and in the cold. If it's 20 degrees out on the river, it's 60, 65 inside that enclosure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference for some of the elderly folks that come and fish with me or the kids. It makes it a lot more bearable for them.
And it's got couches. Couches are awesome.
it's got some nice bench seats that are comfy. Yeah.
Hell
Some
yeah.
air ride seats.
Yep.
That'd make camping so much easier.
For sure.
I thought about it. I played around with the idea. It's just I'd want to go with a 22-footer to accommodate couches. But
Yeah.
an 18-footer is just so much nicer to get in and out of the water and trailer, and kind of back to what Christian was saying, that
My boat is not even it could not even live where Spencer fishes.
Yeah.
Couldn't even get it off the trailer.
Yeah, it's a boat dock.
Fishes on or off. Could
bet
get
you
it
could
off.
get
I don't know about getting
I
it
bet
back
you could get it
on.
off the trailer. Now getting it out of the water.
Something's getting tore up.
Yeah.
It's just a permanent boat dock at that point.
God, that would look so ridiculous. Like, so you have a Hookers Boatworks What's
Yeah,
the
you should see the boat that they. Do you follow them on social media?
I don't.
Check them out when you hop off. They just released one of their new builds. It's called the Nomad. Thing
Okay.
is so sick. It's more of an offshore type kind of platform. It's like a 27 or 29 footer, but it's a beast. Beautiful boats over there.
Yours would be very comfortable offshore, and it's not even as big as what we're talking about, and it would still be just fine.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna send you a little clip here when we get off of some of the boat and some 6-footers the other day.
Good.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm looking forward to it. Hell yeah! All right.
Talking about comfortable. That's not comfortable.
My last cast is big thank you to everyone who took the time to listen. I love doing these. They're a whole lot of fun. Every Wednesday or Thursday, not Wednesday, Thursday. Wait, no, it is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're way off. I thought it was the middle of the month. You don't even know what day it is.
Not perfect, okay.
We're tired fishermen, people.
Yes. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Facebook Live on the River Certified Facebook page, and then I'll slap her on YouTube's. She'll be good to go Friday. Yeah, Friday. But yeah, that's all I can think of right now. So thanks again. Thank you guys for hopping on here.
Absolutely.
Next week's a fun one. We'll have Christian on here. We'll get you on here with somebody else so we could have like a discussion panel type one. I think that would be a really good one.
Yeah.
Having you on. But we'll definitely
Christian,
do it.
every time I talk to you, I'm just so pissed that you're so far away because I need so much help with my graph that I need to drive down to you and bring my
take a
boat.
road trip, Ron.
I need to.
That would be a fun road trip. Like we could haul your boat down there and fish some of them shallow, rocky rivers, and then you could put it in the hands of the sonar doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's got potential. We can talk about that.
I'm in.
Right.
We can make it happen.
Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you around. Appreciate it, and see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys. Have a good evening.